Spencer Aiken, Stronger Together Education Academy. And we're going to start teaching some muscle anatomy because muscle anatomy directly applies to creating better workouts. Teaching our students how to create better workouts improves the likelihood of success. They're going to build their confidence. They're going to be professional and knowledgeable, but they're going to know what they're doing. Remember, what we teach them in PE is about lifelong skill development. Everything that we do and all the opportunities we're presented are about getting our kids prepared for their adult lives with the skills, the knowledge, and the ability to transfer what we do for the rest of their lives. All right, so we are talking muscle anatomy because creating exercises is about understanding what the muscle action is, and understanding what that muscle action is helps us to create better workouts, prevent overuse injuries, because if we're constantly using certain muscles, like our shoulders can get overworked because we don't understand which are working and which are relaxing. Okay, so we're starting today with the quads. The four muscles that make up the quadriceps, hence the reason the quads, and specifically the rectus femoris. And I'll explain why we're talking the rectus femoris in a second. All right, first, the four muscles that make up the quadriceps, the quads, are the vastus lateralis, the vastus intermedius, and the vastus medialis. Vastus meaning vast, meaning large. They are very large muscles. The second word in each of those names is the place at which it is located. Lateralis meaning to the side, so the vastus lateralis is on the outside of our thigh. The vastus intermedius is in the middle of the medialis and the lateralis. In the middle, intermedius. And the medialis is in the middle or toward the middle, the inner thigh. So you have the muscles that are aligned based off of their name. On top of those three muscles is the fourth muscle known as the rectus femoris, not to be confused with the biceps femoris, okay, which is a hamstring muscle. The rectus femoris is on the front of the thigh and it sits on top of the other three muscles. Okay, so how is the rectus femoris different than the vastus medialis, vastus intermedius, and the vastus lateralis? It is different in that it originates, its starting point is on the hip, pelvis, and not the bone of the femur. And since it's attached to that point, it can affect that point. What does that mean in English? Well, if you're attached to one bone, you can move that bone. If you're not attached to that bone, you can't move that bone, okay? Imagine if my bicep attached right here and it started here and attached here. And when it shortened, it wouldn't move down here, would it? It wouldn't create bicep movement or elbow movement. So the bicep has to attach here in order to pull this to here, right? Easy example, makes sense. The rectus femoris is the only muscle that doesn't originate on the femur. It originates on the pelvis and therefore can affect hip and pelvic movement. So if you do a leg raise, you will feel your quads contract. The only one you're feeling is the rectus femoris. But people will constantly say, oh, I feel my quads during that exercise. Well, a leg raise, like we do the flutter kicks, being hip flexion, the rectus femoris works and or is activated during hip flexion, the act of bringing your knee to your chest. It's the only one that works during hip flexion. So your exercises involving hip flexion, your dead bugs, your dying bugs, your knee raises, your flutter kicks, your leg raises, your knees to chest, your hip raises are all involving hip flexion, and therefore involving the rectus femoris. None of the other three. Now, a physical therapy counterpoint to that is if someone complains of quadricep pain during a squat or a lunge or a deadlift, ask them, do you have any pain with hip movement, leg raises, knee raises, hanging leg raises, dying bugs, walking? If they don't have the pain during the hip portion of any of those movements, they're not suffering from the rectus femoris, because that movement would cause pain in the quadriceps. If they're having the pain in their quadricep area, not activated during hip movement, it's one of the other three. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Because if the muscle is activating, it should feel the same pain, right? Common sense sort of plays out that way. Now, that's not necessarily 100% because you might not be recruiting enough muscle, but it's a good guide to understand what's causing your pain and or your problems. Understanding muscle anatomy is helping you create better workouts so that you understand all the aspects of what that muscle needs to be doing in order to fully work and or fully be activated. Later, we're going to go into the hamstrings, more specifically next week on Friday, when we go over the biceps femoris and how the biceps femoris is slightly different than the semimembranosus and the semitendinosus. Okay, they are all hamstrings, but they each have different roles. They do hip extension and knee flexion, but they also have different roles in terms of external rotation and internal rotation, which leads to our foot turning out while we do side leg raises. And if you've ever done a leg raise, you've noticed your foot will tend to rotate and open out. It's because of your biceps femoris being the dominant muscle, and we need to hopefully prevent, not eliminate, but prevent too much movement. All right? So hopefully this is making sense, and hopefully you're starting to understand that muscle anatomy and muscle action is a very important aspect of understanding how the body works, and very important your students understand these. If you're not up to date on all these, we can help. We are offering our personal trainer certification prep course. And although you may not want to become a certified personal trainer since you are a PE teacher, it does give you the knowledge and the expertise in the fitness area, the fitness field, the fitness industry, so that you can be an expert at fitness-based lifetime fitness curriculum, or the lifelong fitness skill development that a lot of PE classes are becoming. Maybe you didn't get the information in your college program, but now through our program, you can gain the knowledge of exercise prescription, muscle anatomy and muscle action, safety in the gym, and you can become an expert so that you can help your students learn the information so that they become an expert. Not saying you have to take our course and get certified, but you will become a fitness expert whether you sit for your exam or not. If you do sit for the exam, you can also start to earn some side income as a personal trainer in the afternoons or weekends or any time that you feel you have free, if you want to earn up to $80 to $100 an hour, depending on the area you work in. Some personal trainers make upwards of $150 an hour. Most average around 40 to 60, but that's pretty good money. All right, so you can add some extra income. We are offering that, okay? I will have the link in the comments, although it is education.strongertogetheracademy.com. It's on our Thinkific site. Muscle anatomy is very important to understand. Muscle action creates the workouts that help us achieve our goals. So understanding muscle action is extremely important in understanding how to create your workouts. We're going to hopefully educate everyone so that we can be better at what we do, so that our students are the beneficiaries of that expertise. If you have any questions, please always comment. You can either comment on any of the social platforms you see this on, or you can email us directly at spencer@spenceraiken.com. Maybe your question becomes the question we answer on our live segments on Fridays. All right? As usual, I hope you guys go out, be awesome, be amazing, and realize we are the future. We're educating the future, and it is our job to help our students become as prepared physically, mentally, and spiritually as best as possible so that they're healthy and wealthy and wise adults. All right? Thank you. You guys go out, be awesome, be amazing. That's all I have for today.